see if it. Okay, give me a second here. I have to remove it and bring it back. Okay, let's see. So bear with us a moment, audience. I'm just trying to slide on to Facebook. Yeah, we can go from there. All right, are we live now? Yep, it's loading up. All right, here we go. So I am LaShirley Scott, CEO and President of Scott Center for Observation, Treatment, and Transition. And today you guys are in for a treat. We have here Gina Glass, who is the founder and executive director of Dreamsickle Kids Foundation, which is the first sickle cell disease organization in the state of Nevada. She is involved in so many things. I mean, this list can go on and on. So I'm gonna allow Gina to introduce herself as far as like how she got into sickle cell. So go ahead, tell our audience who you are, Gina.
Hey everyone, I am Gina. I'm Georgene, but I try to make it easy for you guys and go by Gina. I am founder and executive director of Dreamsickle Kids Foundation here in Nevada. We this coming April, we're gonna make 5 years being established as an organization, a sickle cell organization here in the state. I have 2 children. My youngest daughter, Gia, she has sickle cell disease. She was born with sickle cell disease. We are from California and moved to Nevada in 2016, the year after she was born. And that is what really got me into the sickle cell space. Nevada did not have many resources for support for people with sickle cell disease, and the healthcare field, the healthcare sector, the providers were not as knowledgeable as you would want them to be as a parent of a small child with sickle cell disease. So that took me on the journey to decide to start Dreamsickle Kids as a support for the patients and caregivers impacted by sickle cell disease, to provide that direct support, that outside support that wouldn't be provided through the medical treatment you would get in the hospital setting. And also to raise awareness, because there wasn't much conversation about sickle cell in Nevada prior to our inception in 2018. I don't know if it was luck or fate or what, but that same year we met a politician who was working on a sickle cell bill, and we were able to get a sickle cell disease bill passed here in 2019, AB 254, and that bill paved the way for a lot of changes and helped to change the landscape and the narrative of sickle cell disease support and awareness here in Nevada. It is a very unique bill, as the language that's included in the bill is language that is not included in sickle cell bills in other states, and there's a lot of sickle cell states who don't even have a sickle cell bill just yet. And our first year out, we were able to get a sickle cell bill. That bill allows for Medicaid to cover any new sickle cell medication that comes out that's FDA approved. It's automatically covered for patients who are prescribed those medications by their healthcare provider. That bill also established a sickle cell disease registry here, state registry. We don't have an accurate number of how many people have sickle cell disease here. We guesstimate about 1,000, but that registry, when it's up and running, we will get an accurate count, and that will allow for more resources to be better allocated to the sickle cell community of Nevada. What else? So I travel around and speak to, I speak at UNLV here in Nevada with the medical and public health students, just to educate them about sickle cell disease, provide them resources from the CDC and from ASH, so that when they start their residency, if they happen to encounter a patient with sickle cell, hopefully they will remember our talk and talking with our hematologist and with an actual sickle cell patient, and have a little more compassion and understanding when they're treating sickle cell warriors. And I do a bunch of other stuff too. We throw a lot of parties, and we pride ourselves on being able to provide support directly to the sickle cell community. So if you are a person who's been generous enough to support us through a financial donation, your donation goes directly back to our sickle cell patients. We help with transportation, prescription assistance, rental assistance, utility assistance, food assistance. It basically goes directly back to them. You don't, when you see this year, I guess we should be happy, but not when I'm the one who kind of is putting it together. This is our first year doing a 990. And if you know anything about that with your taxes, that means that we grossed over 50,000 last year, which is a great thing, because that means that that was injected into the sickle cell disease community here in the state of Nevada. We also are sub-grantees on the HRSA Sickle Cell Disease Treatment and Demonstration Program grant and the Newborn Screening Follow-Up grant. I myself, along with 2 or 3 other individuals in the sickle cell space, crafted that proposal. We are not expert grant writers. We basically just pulled from our experience as caregivers, going through the healthcare system, and as healthcare providers who treat patients with sickle cell disease. We drew from those experiences, and we wrote that grant, and we were awarded that grant. Over much larger states, like California and other big states with larger sickle cell disease populations, who normally get that grant, which has been around since 2005. So for the first time, and since it's been around, 16 years or so, it came to Nevada.
That's cool. See, I told y'all she involved in a lot of stuff. And that's why I had to let you, I wanted to make sure it was done right. So I wanted you to go ahead and introduce. So thank you for joining me today. If you've been watching, I've been highlighting women in honor of Women's Month. I've been honoring women in the sickle cell community, trailblazing and doing some amazing things. These conversations are not script. I do not have questions prepared. Gina just into a whirlwind of whatever I put out there. So I met Gina in person. What was that? What was that?
Was it 21?
It might have been 21 when I came to Vegas.
I think it was 21.
Met you in person. We had talked all the time through social media. I'm like, hey, I'm trying to
book. You gave me the book. You sent me the book. A long time ago. I think about 5-6 years ago you sent me the book. Because I know it was when we were in Vegas and we were at our old house. So like 5-6 years ago.
Yes, and you've always been like really easygoing, willing to share information, which we know in the sickle cell community. People are just so, like I said, these conversations are
it's some gatekeepers in the community.
They don't want to share. They do not want to share, as if there is competition, and there is not. At least not for me. And I feel the same way for you. I don't think it's the same way for you.
No. We all working towards the same thing. It's not even about one entity or organization winning over the other. A win is a win. A win for sickle cell is a win for everybody. Whether you got the dub or I did or somebody else, it's a win for everybody in the sickle cell community.
Exactly. So I say all that to say is that I see, even though we're in 2 different states, we're focused on sickle cell, but we're kind of in 2 different realms too. I think it's important to share those resources amongst one another. That's one.
Absolutely.
2, as us both being care providers of sickle cell warriors, you know, if your child decided to come here in Ohio, my kids decide to go to Vegas, there's some type of collaboration to where there's a smooth transition from one state to another. And I think the people in our community or that's working in this community, they're not seeing that. Whereas you and I, you know, because we are care providers, we don't have sickle cell, as you stated before we started. The ultimate goal is to make sure that we are improving the lives of those that are impacted by sickle cell disease.
Right. And it's a good feeling to know, like, even whether I like knew you personally or not, if you know, say my daughter went to Ohio, I'd be like, oh, I'ma just, you know, hit up Sade. I know she got her because I know she doing what needs to be done for the sickle cell community there in Ohio. And that's how you should feel about here. Your baby come here, we got them. Like, and that's how people should feel everywhere. Wherever they go, they should know that, you know, they good. Not, oh, you came here from and you work with this organization. Like, no, it shouldn't be like that.
Yep. And it's so sad because it's like, to be honest, we're in a new generation, right? So I know like people from the older generation typically are a little bit more like, I don't want to share this, but they can't do it forever. So it's kind of like you got to pass the torch. Like even the things that I'm doing, I have people that have sickle cell that are younger than I am, and I'm nurturing them and showing them the way so that we can continue to have these things.
Because they're gonna have to take over one day. Somebody gonna have to take the reins. You're not always gonna be able to do it forever. I mean, we all want to live forever, but that's not going to be the case. So we need to prepare, you know, succession plans so that when we're gone, what we're doing doesn't die with us. It continues on after we're gone. And the only way to be able to do that is to share, is to collaborate, is to partner. If we all in silos and we're not partnering, like, how are we gonna, like, everything we do will end with us.
Yes.
That could mean patients going without. So it really is selfish, because when you do stuff like that, when you gatekeep, or when you're not willing to work with other people because of your personal opinion and feelings, like, the only people who really suffer is the patients that we're supposed to be advocating for. Those are the people that suffer. And personally, me, because I'm a mom of somebody with sickle cell, I take that personal. So I have a problem with you. Now I have a problem with you because you are acting in a way that could eventually cause my daughter to miss out and go without on something that she could need for her life as a sickle cell warrior. So now I'm taking personal. So now it's going to be personal, and it shouldn't have to be like that. We should all, you know, we're working towards the same goal, to support warriors. So put your ego, put your personal feelings aside, and just do the work for the sickle cell community.
Absolutely.
Whoever is doing the right work.
Yeah. Because one thing I will say, and Gina, you know me a little bit, I consider myself to be kind of radical. I speak my mind no matter what. I don't care. I can respect you, but if you're talking crazy, or if I don't agree with you, I'm going to speak up on that, because at the end of the day, that's just who I am. So to speak, that's just who I am. And I might not be everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine. I'm okay with it. I can sleep at night. I live, you know, I know what I'm doing and what my purpose is. So it's kind of like, I'm not here to make you like me, or, you know, feel whatever. You can feel how you want to feel. Just know, when it comes to this particular topic or these areas, I'm always going to do what is best for the population in general. So you not agree with what are.
Do you think that you would have been doing everything that you've been doing if you didn't speak your mind? If you were quiet and just didn't say nothing and just got along to go along? Because I don't think I would. And I'm a person who's kind of a introvert. I don't like people. I typically in my regular life, I probably don't speak up as much. But when it comes to sickle cell, you're going to hear my mouth. You're going to hear my opinion. I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to ask you uncomfortable questions as it pertains to sickle cell advocacy, sickle cell support, whatever, because selfishly, when Dreamsickle, the whole thing came from me wanting to make sure that Gia grew up in a place where she could be comfortable with her illness, her diagnosis. She didn't have a problem sharing it. I wanted her to be when she go to school. I didn't want when she said I have sickle cell to everybody be looking like she got the plague, or I didn't want her to encounter doctors who just didn't know what the heck they were doing. So that's selfishly what it grew from. And then realizing that, although I'm worried about my daughter, this work is going to help so many more people. So, yeah, I take it personal when I be mad when, we be acting funny with each other in the sickle cell community, the organizations, well, they can't work with that one and they can't work with that one. I be mad because all of the different organizations, they all have things that they are great at. There is not going to be just one organization that's just going to be great at every single thing as it pertains to sickle cell across the board. There needs to be, some diversity, different views, different ideas. That's how, you spark, different innovations and advances and stuff, because it's several minds that are thinking and doing different things. I think that's great, but it becomes even better when you bring several minds together to bring their different views and different ideas and make something that's big and great for everybody. So when, especially as a younger organization, when you hear about older organizations and this one don't get along with that one, this one don't get along with that one, I be feeling some type of way, like, dang, don't y'all know this not even about y'all? Like, are y'all mad at that person, but is the sickle cell community also mad at the same person that y'all mad at? And 9 times out of 10 is 1 or 2 high level people or whatever that's mad at this other group of high level people. It's not the sickle cell community that has a problem with these people at these other organizations. So if this is about the patient, what are we doing? What is your problem? You be mad over there, but you play nice so these patients can get what they need, because you ain't the one in the hospital. You're not the one getting poked. You don't have to get blood transfusions. So really, you not liking that person for this, that, and the third really don't even matter, because whatever that person can do at their organization, it's not going to benefit you. It's going to benefit the patient. So like, come on now, we need to figure out how to all coexist and play in the sandbox together when necessary.
Yeah, that I totally agree. I'm so happy we were able to put that out there. So who's ever watching, if they feeling some type of way, obviously you might be the problem. So we have to change.
Love and respect. I respect all of the organizations who have done all of the great work to pave the way for people like us, younger generations, to come along. We respect you guys. We've drawn from you guys. We've aspired to be like you guys in some way, shape, or form, but not when it comes to not getting along. I'm a part of, I guess, I'm a millennial. So us as millennials in the sickle cell community, we all want to be friends. We all want to work together. So we want to work with y'all too, but
I don't know if you remember giving me a document that I asked you for. It was a long time ago. I said,
I kind of remember.
Yes.
I can't remember, but I did.
To me, I just feel like I said, once again, sharing those resources, because you giving me that document made me elevate some other things here where I'm at. And I'm like, oh, okay, I can take a little bit of what she did.
Yeah, and put your own juice on it.
Because what you're doing in Nevada is different from here. But however, we're kind of trying to bridge that gap. If, like I said, once again, someone is trying to, relocate to Nevada and vice versa to Ohio. But with all of that being said, so you opened up your organization. You've been doing all of these great things. Like I follow you all the time. What's next? Like what is your 5-year plan? Like if you had it figured all the way out, because I know some things are still probably in process, but if you had it all figured out, like what would be your 5-year plan?
So I guess in my 5-year plan would be a huge dream center. I actually am working on like some sickle cell, I guess, transitional housing. I want a place because there is a connection between um, food insecurity, housing instability, and the lack of proper nutrition for sickle cell patients, which could lead to them having complications and not being able to manage their illness with, access, getting their medication, taking it like they're supposed to, and things like that, and being able to be somewhere where they can prepare nutritious meals that will better benefit them in their health. So I want some transitional housing for that, where we offer, wraparound services. We bring the community, all the community resources that we have at our event, we bring them to this housing, and the goal is for them to be there temporarily and get to a place of stability where they have a stable job if they need. We offer resources on other streams of income outside of the traditional employment, just career education assistance, just everything, all the resources that people with sickle cell disease need and sometimes are lacking. We want to have it there so that they can go on and have their own house, because we've helped so many people who've been with sickle cell who've been getting evicted, late on their rent, not having anywhere to go to, where we have to put them in like a residential, like a weekly for a few $100s a week, and send them food and things like that. And I just feel like that's like a band-aid. It's not actually really get into the root of the problem to make sure that this is something that doesn't, happen. I don't know about 5 years for this one, but this is a goal of mine. I want us to be like the Susan G. Komen of sickle cell. I research Susan G. Komen. I'm looking at everything, their board, their projects and initiatives, how their social media is, everything, because I feel like I want sickle cell. I want us, Dreamsickle, I'm speaking for Dreamsickle right now, to be like the Susan G. Komen of sickle cell.
No, I totally agree with that. When Mia was on here last Friday, we kind of mentioned how we want sickle cell to look like. You know how celebrities are wearing their pink, it should be the same, especially since so many of our Black males are in these spaces to be able to raise the awareness. I think that it's important for us to know the things that impact our community, so to speak. And like I said, that's not to take um, a dab at anybody or anything like that, but it's just we know that sickle cell trait impacts our community in large numbers. 1 out of 13 African Americans.
Right. I mean, there's a lot of
So
celebrities, rich folk who probably got sickle cell trait that need to be repping for us.
and that's my biggest thing. But I feel like there is just a lack of knowledge. I mean, we've been hearing lately now more celebrities kind of stepping up because sickle cell has actually knocked at their front door, right? But
Right.
much like you and myself, I'm pretty sure you getting into the sickle cell field was really impacted from being a parent of a sickle cell warrior. So I
Absolutely.
know
I have a
typically.
niece with sickle cell that's 12, or she's probably 12 or 13. And I've known it since she was, small, but I never really, took any interest. I never really asked her mom about it, and literally like until, I was told that I could have a child with sickle cell, and then got the confirmation that I did have a child with sickle cell, which, I mean, I feel bad that I was like that, but that's literally how, that's really how most humans are. And again, in the sickle cell community, people, like, you don't make a big deal about it. If you have, like, your child with sickle cell, you're not going to everybody in your friends and family network just talking about, you know, the fact that your son has sickle cell. My niece didn't do that. I mean, yeah, it was mentioned, but, you know, there was never any real, I'm sure when she was in and out the hospital, she wasn't really, you know, telling us that, you know, the baby had been in the hospital and things like that. So even when you have somebody with sickle cell, it's kind of like I try to be a little more vocal about it, but the average person, they're not just, hey, my baby's in the hospital with sickle cell, or hey, this and hey, that. So you don't know, because you don't know until you know, until it's at your door in your house. You don't, because most people, a lot of people with sickle cell don't even, you know, talk about it. They feel like it's like a need to know basis.
Well, I don't know, Gina. I am like the total opposite.
Well, you're right. You are, but the average person is not.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I think because I had a friend in high school that had sickle cell, so much like you talking about your niece, and he would tell us, I mean, he told us that he had sickle cell, but he never went into like in depth, right? And I grew up in Michigan, so most of the majority of the population is impacted by sickle cell trait. And they never came into the schools, never talked about, you know, like, I knew I had sickle cell trait my whole life. But when you go to like what is it, sex ed class at the time, which I know they put that out, and then you'll have that one sentence: sickle cell disease is a inherited blood disorder, blah 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 blah. That was it.
You had that? Because I didn't have that. We was just talking about, we just had the Punnett square with the green eye, blue eye, brown eye, whatever that thing is.
We had that one sentence, and that was kind of how the conversation came up. But I said, okay. And I've always been told, like, don't have a child with someone who has sickle cell trait. But see, now you got to even go a step further, because there's over 250 different hemoglobinopathies. That could be anything. You say not to have sickle cell trait. They didn't even tell you about C trait, D. They didn't tell you about FAD. They haven't told you about half of the things that exist. So we have done a disservice, and when I say we, I mean the sickle cell population in general has done a disservice by not being so heavily involved in the school districts. So I made it my mission here in Ohio to make sure that I'm going into these schools and I'm educating. So when you talk about Punnett squares, I'm coming in there and I'm showing them, because I have like a dice game that I kind of created. And now you'll have an understanding of, okay, if you have if you got one S gene, that's gonna give you, so it is basically breaking it down to what that looks like. And I think we really need to be involved in these high schools, because 9 times out of 10 they are sexually active.
Absolutely. I had my first kid at 18, so yes, they are active in high school.
So I think, we have to really be intentional on how we're presenting the information. And now you have the NCAA who's requiring sickle cell newborn screenings, right? In order for you to play any sport. I think that they should kind of enforce that at the high school level too, because then it's already a known versus this huge shock like newborn screening result. So now I'm in a school speaking about that and why that is important to know what your sickle cell trait or what your sickle cell status is in general. And then we talk about the things that are associated with sickle cell trait. So I don't even think people even understand that. It's just so many.
I hear about a kid here who just passed out for no reason, especially in the heat, or they were playing sports. I always think about that. But what you're talking about is something where I'm going to be reaching out to you more, because I talk to the school nurses K through 12, but I do want to talk to the high school students. So that's, information and somewhere where I want to talk to and collaborate with you on. It's things like that. Like, see, you're doing that. You created a whole plan and program for that for high school students. I want to do that out here because it's hot out here. The altitude is higher out here. The conversation about sickle cell is not the same out here because it seems to not affect as many people here as other places, but people here are still affected. We have 1,000 people. That's not a little bit of people. I mean, it's a little bit if you compare it to somewhere like Tennessee or Mississippi or Texas, but 1,000 is not a little bit of people. 20 is a little bit of people maybe, but 1,000, if you over 100 is not a small amount of people in my opinion. So that's an area where I would want to talk to you and see how we can collaborate, how you can teach me and show me and give me information so I can go into the schools. We can go into the schools out here and talk to the high school students. It's, that's how you collaborate. That's how you work together. So, we talking to the students out there, and now I'm talking to the students in Vegas, and then wherever they end up going to school, if Vegas and Ohio kid go to school and one of them got sickle cell, now I remember I learned about that in high school. I know what that is. Drink some water or go lay down or something. They already know what they, how to support somebody that they encounter with sickle cell.
Yeah. Yep. So that's one piece of it. And then I think I was telling Mia, I said, I wish our community would be so open. Like, okay, so for us, when I speak our community, I'm speaking people of color, right?
Right.
We would go march and picket for things that ain't really the most important. Why your head up, Gina? Because I'm not
just like, because I'm just like, okay.
And I have let me be very clear. I am a social worker for real. Okay.
Right.
So I'm all about advocacy. I'm all about, standing for what's right. But you cannot choose one without choosing the other. This is how I feel.
Right.
So if you are going to go stand for something for another community, why can't you stand for something that impacts your community? And this is where I say the lack of knowledge or education comes about, because
it's a question that nobody really asks people. I think people don't ask. Like, I've been thinking about and wanting to literally create a survey where we ask people, like ask donors, ask these big organizations that support a lot of these other causes, like what is it about them and what they're advocating for that would make you support them over supporting sickle cell? Because it's something I really want to know. Is it the name? Is it the colors of the logos of the organizations that represent sickle cell? Is it too many Black people and you don't feel that it relates to you? Like, what is it that would compel you? Because there's been organizations, clearly there's been things where there's been some innovative projects that have been funded through industry, but when it comes to I feel like the community is very dependent on industry support, whereas other communities, they get that, plus they get state, federal, they get I forget what you call them, but the people who will do an endowment to them, they get, lifetime donors and all that. What are they doing differently that the sickle cell community is not doing to get that same support? Because it could be from the biggest, cause or organization or whatever to a small, random, nondescript one outside of sickle cell, and they still get more money and support than people with sickle cell. So it's like, what is it that I really want to know? I really want somebody to do a survey. I'm not a researcher, but if anybody want to jump on and let us figure out how to do this survey and get it to these big people, these big businesses, these casinos, hotels, places like that faithfully support certain large causes, but yet don't support sickle cell. They'll literally support, when somebody says that their 9-month-old has made a lemonade stand, they'll support that, or they'll support the dog that's mowing grass or something like that, and he's garnered 100, 200,000 in 2 hours or something. But if we, say support, we're doing this for sickle cell, it's pretty much crickets. Like the support is, there's a vast disparity in that support. And it's like, most of the organizations have the programs, have the data, the proof of their work. They have the ideas. They're working with the experts, and yet they still cannot garner that kind of support. And some of these organizations do have real great fundraisers who know how to, cultivate and nurture and talk to these, big donors and get the money. And still, they're not able to get any support comparable to a lot of other, causes, not just even, disease focused causes, but causes in general. So it's like, what is it? And then like, for me, it leads me to believe like, well, if we got every single thing just like this one, the only difference between this one and us is that we luck. That's the only difference. And nobody really wants to say that, but literally that's the only difference I can come up with is that the people that are on the faces or on the front line are Black. Yeah, that's literally the only difference. And I wonder about that, but then it makes me, I can understand in a way why in our community there is, what some people feel competition, because we're all pulling from the same group of pots. Like, there's no diversity in our funding sources. So I could see why, some people feel threatened that if this person comes in and do this, now they're going to take money from me. But that's where partnerships and collaborations come in, because when we got the HRSA grant, Dreamsickle couldn't do it. So we asked our sickle cell clinic that's under the hemophilia clinic, to go after this grant, because they are a larger entity. They have the capacity. They've been around. They are familiar with managing large grants like this. And we presented it to them and was like, hey, we'll support you. We'll help you write this grant. We'll, work the deliverables with you and things like that. So then we were able, along with another sickle cell organization, we're able to be sub-grantees. So the money we still got the money. The money still came to us. And it's not about, one person getting it over another, because that large organization got the grant and, disseminated it to us little sickle cell organizations. And that could be the case in, a lot, if organizations work together. There are some grants that maybe, maybe there's some grant that, a small organization like Dreamsickle or any of the other smaller grassroots, sickle cell organizations, maybe alone they can't go after it because they don't have a demonstration of having that capacity. But if they hook up with a consortium or a SCDAA or any of the other larger sickle cell organizations, now they're going to qualify for that grant. They might have had a great idea, but alone it was like, do we want to really give them, they have a staff of 5, they've been around for 3-4 years, do we really want to give them $200,000? I'm looking, at their financials. Maybe they haven't filed a 990 yet, which means they haven't grossed over 50,000, so they don't have experience managing 6-figure funding. But if you jump on with somebody else, now it's like, okay, whereas we probably would have gave you by yourself 10, 15,000, but now you with this bigger organization that we know has the capacity to do it. So now we're going to give you the whole 250. Now you're not going to be able to pocket it and use the whole 250 for your organization. Now you're going to have to share it, but who cares? It's still going to the sickle cell community. Who cares?
That should be the goal. Absolutely.
Exactly. So,
but yeah, so you brought up some really good points. Definitely collaborations. I say
collaboration is key. Like, for anything to really move, like you gotta. That's one thing that here in Nevada that was my goal from the beginning, and we have been fortunate. Of course, we're not perfect. We have our hiccups and difference in opinions and difference in the way that we want to do things, but. It's not for 1 minute that I think that if we did not work together, be that other advocates, the other sickle cell organization, the healthcare providers, the legislator, if we didn't work together, the things that are here now for people with sickle cell would not be here at all, or they would not have been here in such a short time period if we didn't all work together.
Yeah, true. I definitely agree with that. So my thought behind all of this, so you mentioned coming up with some type of research. So I do find myself doing certain researches, but that will be one that I would definitely get with you to see what the real root of the problem is, because that could essentially open up some other doors for the community.
Oh, really? Because you know how they have, like, in the research things, like, when you get surveys, they may put, like, it might have pictures like, okay, what do you like about this picture, or what don't you like about this picture? It could be something simple where they don't like that, because some of our, some sickle cell logos might just be red and black. Maybe they don't like the red and black. Maybe they don't like, I love when we do the little that right there. So maybe they don't like when we put the crescent moon right there, the sickle right there. Maybe it's something so simple as that will have them decide to support the pink or the green or the yellow or the orange rather than the burgundy.
Yeah, maybe. But so now I'm gonna keep going back to this piece, and that's where I feel like the education is needed. Because if you knew what that crescent meant, you knew where that burgundy came from. You knew, like, if you knew these things, maybe you have a different opinion on basically really just your thought process on how you determine what you want to support, and it could just be the delivery on our end as well. Maybe we're not conveying the message the way that Susan G. Komen and all of them are, the way that they convey their message, and the uniform, the unity. So if there's division within our own, let me start there. So now I'm gonna reel it back. If there's division within our own community and we don't even have the respect, right? Who's gonna take us serious?
And that's another thing that I want to say. There's no doubt that there's probably been, dysfunction, disunity within those other larger organizations. But guess what? They know how to be like, all right, I don't like this. We gonna fuss and cuss and yell with each other. But when we get out here in front of company, we gonna act like we got some sense. We gonna behave. I think that's a huge difference. Just in Black culture in general, than others. Like, yeah, we know that sometimes we gotta behave, but sometimes it be like, they did that. No, I'm not finna be fake. I'm not finna do that. Like, they got me messed up, and they gotta know, and I don't care. And yeah, I get on the phone with one of these industry partners or donors, and they ask me about somebody. I'm like, oh, I don't work with them. Like, no, you're not supposed to tell them that. Like, right. That could be y'all internal beef. You don't get on the phone with the people with the money or with the resources and the support and be like, oh, I don't mess with that one over there. Because they do talk about the fact that there seems to be a lot of discord within the sickle cell community. They talk about it. So don't think that they're not talking about us. They talking about us. They judging us. They have their opinions on us. And yeah, they do. So if you think that they don't, they do. They have an opinion on us. And that opinion of whoever might have been the person who decided to be so bold and let them know that they don't get along with organization A, B, C, D, E, F, G, y'all getting side-eyed. And it could be why you didn't get you didn't get that extra couple of thousand you might have thought you was gonna get for your project.
Right. So we got a comment here. We as people are deeply rooted in not working together. We need to come together on many things impacting us. Collaborations are not only good, but essential. It's beautiful when we work together towards a goal. I agree.
Absolutely.
If you're just tuning in, as I told Gina, I reached out to her when I didn't even have my nonprofit signed up. I knew eventually what my goal was, but the fact that she was so willing to share the information that she had. I mean, I seen her basically start from nothing to where she is now, and I think it's amazing. It definitely kept me in good spirit to know that there are some people that I can reach out to, and hands down, they're willing to help and share that information. I'm just a nice person in general. Sometimes I think I'm a little too nice, but overall, I'm a very nice person. So, like, if
you're not too nice, you might be nice to the wrong people sometimes. You ain't too nice. You can be as nice as you want to be, but some people don't deserve your niceness. You don't have to be mean or nasty. You just they don't deserve to benefit from your niceness.
Yes, because for me, I like to see everybody win. I don't even have to know you, but if I see you and I'm seeing you do the work, I'm gonna root that on. I'm gonna share. I'm gonna post whatever it is that you're doing. I'm going to make sure that I'm doing my due diligence to share that information, because you never know who may be suffering in silence, what help they may need, because everybody don't come out and say, hey, I need help. Could you assist me, or could you know what I mean? And my platforms are so diverse. I have people from all over that follow me on these different platforms. So I'm always willing to share the knowledge, or share the resources that are being shared with me. And I think that when we talk about collaborations, I think that's another key component, sharing the information, because I'm holding all this knowledge. What good is it doing for me to only have the knowledge and not share it with you or whoever else is in need of, these different services?
Right. That's number one important. On all my platforms at some point, at least my personal business platforms, I'm sharing information. You can go to Nonprofit Bay, and it's so much information on there about nonprofits and all kind of things like that. I share that information. As soon as I got back from Rare Disease Week, after our Congress person's office told us about an appropriation for community funding that opened up, I immediately shared that information. Hey, y'all, go hit up y'all Congress people. Go on their website. There's an appropriation for community funding. That means for your state. That's open. It's only open for a short period of time. If you got a project, put it together and submit it so they can give you some money. It's things like that you should just share whatever there's nothing that really that comes through to me or for Dreamsickle or whatever that I'm not gonna share with somebody. I share everything. I share. Some people say I share too much, but if it's about sickle cell and information about that, I'm gonna share it. I don't see a reason to gatekeep and hold on to that information, because my brain works 90 miles per hour, and I do a lot of stuff, but I can't do everything. So I'm holding on to this information but not acting on it. But there might be somebody out there who can take the information I have and actually act on it and actually do something that's going to benefit the community. Like, that's selfish to hold on to that information. It's selfish for me to do that. I feel it's selfish to my daughter. I feel it's selfish to all people with sickle cell disease to not work together. I've been mad at some people and not wanted to, I didn't feel like I was feeling them, but then some come up and they says about sickle cell. All right, I'm gonna be a team player. I'm trying to keep a smile on my face. Might not have no small talk with them, but we gonna get this done for sickle cell. Like,
right. because that's the goal, that should be the goal.
That should be.
But yeah, that was I like that post. So when we speak on just the things that, so like, okay, I asked you what was your goal or what was your plan, right? So I was really just trying to see is there an end goal? And I really don't want to use that word, but the main goal that you see for Dreamsickle in the future. Like, do you understand what I'm asking you? I
Yeah,
didn't want
I mean, a dream is far out. It's not, 5 years, but I would, want to get to a point where Dreamsickle. What I originally wanted to do was just, tell people about sickle cell and, ways that they can support it, make sickle cell popular. So not like, oh, we want a bunch of celebrities. When I say make sickle cell popular, when you're providing education to those high school students, you're making sickle cell popular. Making people know about sickle cell. You're putting it out there. So that's what I mean when we say that is, we want you to know about sickle cell. We want you to know that you should support it, how you can support it, like what you can do. That was, just awareness. That was the thing. So maybe one day we'll get to a point where, patients aren't, they have access to all of the, social services and wraparound services that they need. They have a medical home. They're following their care plans, and they don't need a Dreamsickle to go and take meetings with the hospitals and call out nurses and doctors and send complaints and things like that. They don't need us for that. They just need us to continue to raise awareness and do the blood drives, get people to do the blood drives and donate bone marrow and educate people about being tested for sickle cell trait, but not to need us to like advocate for these bills and all these other changes and to try to get into these hospitals so that they can stop mistreating sickle cell warriors. That's the dream, is to get to that point where we could just be like, hey, do you know about sickle cell, instead of, hey, we have this patient and that you've been mistreated and now we want to talk to you and we want you guys to fix it. I want to get to a point where we don't have to do that because they know better and they treat us, everybody, better.
Yes, I agree with that. We had a comment. It takes action to cross obstacles. Ladies continue to lead by example. Absolutely. So I heard you mention dream in there. See, I heard that word. So how did you come up with your business name?
So we were in California. We lived in Orange County by Disneyland. So me and my cousin, like, it was not too long after we found out Gia had sickle cell disease. And we were just sitting there and was like, we should do something for sickle cell or whatever. So we were like, well, in California, they have a lot of, organizations and support, and the physicians and everything. They're well versed in sickle cell out there. They have a couple of sickle cell clinics out there. So we were like, what would be a cute name? Because for me, I felt like doing my own internal research, my little limited research I was doing. I was like, well, maybe people are kind of, and then reading about how different colors, like how that makes people feel. I was seeing like red and black is kind of, not the most happiest colors for people. That's why we wanted to have a lot of colors in our logo. I was like, most of the organizations, most of the names were like just pretty much like sickle cell. I'm like,
Yep.
maybe they don't like the name. And I was like, what could be a cool name for like that incorporates sickle cell, but when you see it, it's just not, it invokes something else. So we were like, and then we both were like creamsicle, because we, the creamsicle, the popsicle, the orange popsicle with the cream.
Yep.
So we were like that. And then I was like, and so we were like, yeah, creamsicle, that sounds kind of cool. And then we were like, dreamsicle. So that's how, so it's dreaming pretty much of a world that's sickle cell free. So
Okay.
that's how we came up with the name.
I like it. Yes, I do. I do find I have read research about the colors and all that stuff, and how that's attributed to like how people feel, how
Yeah.
they pretty much what it attracts, right?
Right.
So that makes a lot. But I don't think people realize how hard it is to come up with a
It is.
name, to design a logo. Um, I
You
don't
got a
think people.
second one, and I'm ready for another one.
Let me be
You got a
clear.
second-
My husband had to help me. I struggled. I struggled. First of all, I was gonna be called Days Clinic, or I don't know.
I like the name, and I like I like that.
Yeah. So of course I wanted to pay homage to my boys.
I like it.
That's where, so you see Scott in it, but I struggled for a long time, and it took for like I said, my husband came up with the name of the organization, and I was just like, it makes sense. I was like, it's perfect, it
Yeah.
makes. So I think it's important. That's why I know the conversation me and I had last week. We were talking about your support system, your team,
Mm-hmm.
your people that's behind you. Like I say, he's not as heavily involved as I am because he's in a whole different career field.
Right.
But I need that help, as far as like I'm trying to bounce ideas off, or I'm trying to get a level of
Yeah.
understanding, because I don't have all the answers, and that's why I reach out to people like you or Tiana or Mia, or what I'm saying. I'm reaching out to people within the community that is willing to share that
Right.
knowledge. It just makes it that much better. And like you ladies coming on and speaking your truth, or just us talking, that's one of the reasons why I did not set out questions, because I wanted us to just have just an open conversation. I don't think people get to live in their truth often.
Right. True.
Everything is so censored, or you have to be so polished. And the reality is, yes, I am a professional, and I do try to maintain professionalism, but in the same sense, I'm human, and then I'm
Right.
also a mother in this field. So everything is not going to always come off as polished, or everything
Right.
is good, because I have days where I'm like, I worry, and I'm so sensitive. I'm telling you, everybody in my house is. I'm like super, super sensitive,
Really.
especially when it comes to this,
Right.
this, right? So like when we're online and I've seen that someone died, I literally like, it's like a ton of bricks hit me every time I see someone in the sickle cell community has left, right? Like when Hertz passed away, I really took that hard because I was just inboxing him. He was asked, we were gonna collaborate on something. Um and it was just like, what? I just talked to him. We literally just had a conversation, right? And then you get what I mean? Like, so it's just
Yeah.
really, so it puts me in this mindset of, I mean, we're all gonna leave here one day. But my kids are so young. I want them to live life to the fullest. That's why I do not limit them. I do not enable them.
That,
I do
I,
not keep them in a bubble. I let them do whatever they want to
I
do.
don't know nothing about no bubble. I try, but that's a lot of work. I commend the parents and the caregivers that do that. And I see that it works for them. But as for me and my household, we gonna fall, we gonna get some bumps, some scrapes, all that, because that's just what works over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah. I let the boys, their dad and I, we got them involved in sports. We travel. We do a little bit of it. I mean, I think my kids have more of a social life than I do at times.
Right.
They're
Right.
just doing things. I mean, as a uh first time mom, as far as having a child with a diagnosis, I
Right.
was a lot reserved at one point, but then I had to just let go, because it was like, I'm gonna drive myself nuts if I'm sitting here trying to figure, keep them from getting everything. It's like they're not even at that point. That's just my personal experience. I can't put that on anyone else, but that's my thought behind it. But yes, so I just I say all that to say we definitely have to allow our children to live.
Yes, absolutely. That's something I'm big on, is let them live. Let them live. They not hurting nobody, they not hurting themselves, they not hurting you know, anything. Then let them try. If they want to try something, let them try. I'll never tell my daughter no, she can't try something because she has sickle cell. Whatever she wants to try, she can try it to the best of her ability. Now I might tell her she not finna bungee jump or mountain climb, but anything other than that, she can try it at least once. But I definitely don't believe in putting limitations on children or not being real with the child. You can be honest with your child. um that's age appropriate. Like Gia, because I've seen how people don't talk about sickle cell. She, by the time she knew how to say her name, she would introduce herself. I'm Gia and I have sickle cell. She ain't know what sickle cell meant, but she would introduce herself like that because that's what I taught her. And then slowly, as she got a little bit older, then I would give her a little something else. You know why I'm not letting you drink juice? You need to drink a lot of water because this water helps your body, and this will make it where you're not going to be in pain, and we don't have to go to the hospital, and you don't have to get poked. Like, I'm honest, I remember meeting somebody who had a small child who said that had the child was maybe 1 or 2, and he said he'd never 1, 2, or 3, and he never told the kid he didn't have any plans to tell the child that they had sickle cell. And I was like, dang.
Our audience member said, I always say live life and not allow life to live you.
Amen.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
Amen. And I just want to thank you and know that you are inspiration and motivation. You got me over here sometimes. Like, I'm gonna go back to school too. I want to pledge for a sorority, but I just be having too much stuff to do. I got a BS. That's where I'm gonna sit right now. I just get all these certificates. But I see you and everything that you're doing. You are an inspiration, especially being a mother to a child with sickle cell disease, married, running an organization, educating the community, and still going to school. Soon to be Dr. Scott.
Well, let me say this. Thank you. I appreciate the compliment. You having a bachelor's, that's fine. I wouldn't care if you had a high school diploma. At the end of the day, it's not the degree. The degree. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know why I'm doing it. It's not even for accolades. It's more so what it is that I'm trying to do. So we were talking about funding, and we know research. That research equals right, and then of course just implement a lot of these things into practice that I'm doing. But you are doing some amazing things yourself. I am humble. I'm happy that you see me. And I always say you can always join. Women don't have, so you can do an intake. You can always join later. I didn't join until I finished with school, so that doesn't matter. So always find you too. I know Gia got her superwoman over there, and you running a whole business. We're doing a lot of things, so I just say all that to say, I don't care nothing about the degrees. That's not who I am. I mean, it's a part of me, but that's not who I am.
It's that I just want to say to anybody who's looking to start an organization, you don't have to have some special experience, some degree, some certification, some high level position. You just have to have passion. You just have to, want to serve.
Did we say that at the same time?
Huh?
We said passion. We said passion at the same time.
Oh yeah. You just need passion, and that find your purpose. Like, you don't have to have, it's nothing special that you have to have to run an organization or even a community based support group or whatever. You don't have to have any special qualification. Nonprofit is, one of the very few, sectors where there are no real prerequisites to getting into that industry. Now, unless you're talking, grant writing and things like all those other technical things. But if you want to start a nonprofit, you don't have to wait till you finish high school. Heck, you don't even have to wait till you finish middle school. It's little kids that got nonprofits. So if you want to do it, just do it. I literally had no purpose, felt I had no purpose until starting this organization. Like I was just a little insurance underwriter and I was going to do my 30, 40 years at that and retire and live off of my pension and call it a day. And even though this doesn't yield anywhere near the income that being in that industry yielded, I still am more fulfilled and I finally feel like I have a purpose in life and I'm making a difference in life. So you never know.
Yep.
What you gonna end up doing? You tell your plans, and he gonna laugh at you and show you otherwise.
Right, because I was supposed to be a secondary education teacher teaching mathematics and physics. That's what I was supposed to be teaching. But as you know, like I said, my kids they just basically changed shape, and I had dropped out of school for like 8 years. I was out of school for like 8 years. And then I went back. At that time, I had a 5-year-old, a 1-year-old, and a 4-month-old.
Oh, wow.
And that was what you say, oh, you have the bachelor. That was what I was working on at the time. So now they're 12, 8, and soon to be 7. So I've been in school since my youngest was 4 months. Oh, wow. So yes, this is the last degree. This is the last. It's been a journey, but I have that support system too to be able to do these things. And that's what I say. You got to people that are behind you are helping you evolve, and they're being encouraging and all those things. Like, so when you don't have that, or you have people in your corner that are not happy for you, then you gotta move. You gotta rotate them people right on out of there.
Right, exactly. Because that's one thing. If it wasn't for my family, I wouldn't have been able to really put all of myself into Dreamsickle, because the first couple years it was just Dreamsickle. I didn't have no job, I didn't have no income. And my family supported me, and every time I was like, I need to used to being the person that's making the most money, being the breadwinner, like taking care of everything, and then going to depending on other people. And I'm like, oh, well, I'm gonna just, put the nonprofit to the side. I gotta go to work. We need some money. And they like, no, this is what you're supposed to be doing. You need to do that. We got it. So it's important to have a good, family support system, or even if it's not family, like friends, just a support system, people that support you, that believe in you, that encourage you to follow your heart. Not everybody is gonna be able to live their dream like in this life. Some people are literally gonna work until the day that they die, and that probably more than likely for most of them, that's probably not the vision and the dream that they had for themselves, was to be working. So I consider myself fortunate. If we shut down tomorrow for 5 years, I got to live my dream.
Yep. I say it all the time. I always say, if I impact one life and my goal now is to do at least one per day. If I can educate one per day about what it is that I'm essentially doing and how they can get involved. So before we end, because I know I want to be respectful of your time, tell people how they can get involved with Dreamsickle.
So you guys can follow us on Facebook, Dreamsickle Kids Foundation, and LinkedIn too, the same thing. That's our Twitter and our Instagram at Dreamsickle Kids. Just follow us on those platforms, like stuff, comment on stuff. You can always support us at dreamsicklekids.org. If you're ever in Las Vegas, and you know, even if you come out to gamble, like just, you know, send an email, hit us up on one of those social medias. We might have something going on, or maybe I want to come out and hang out in the casino too. So, you know, we're always accessible. There's, you know, for budgetary reasons and just because we're real, we don't have a call center. So when you call that phone, it's going to be me, it's going to be some volunteer, our volunteer personal assistant that's going to be answering the call. You're not going to be filtered through a queue. Like you can text and I'll probably be the person who responds to the text, because it's us. We're real people. We're making real connections with people. So you're not gonna have to go through the red tape. And when you support us, you know, you will see in some capacity how your support is directly impacting, you know, the sickle cell community. We don't have a fancy car. We don't even have a car for Dreamsickle. We don't have a big fancy building or anything like that. So the only place that the money and the support goes is directly back to our community.
Absolutely. Well, we got another viewer told us great conversation. I'm just trying to show they agree with us. Okay. We appreciate everybody showing up to support us. Like I said, I got a trailblazer on this conversation today. I'm just so happy that my viewers got the
trailblazer with a trailblazer, and
I'm just so happy that my viewers got to meet you today.
Thank you.
This is not the end. This is just the beginning. So when you see those grants, you call me. We can work together.
Well, first of all, when you mentioned the transition thing, I'm already about to email you to set up a Zoom so we can put our little thinking caps on and figure out how we could work something out.
Yeah, we gotta get me on that call too, because yes, like I said, her extending her invitation for me to join her advisory board for Atlanta. I'm just appreciative. That's the whole thing. Yes. Like we talk about these collaborations.
Mia is shout out to Mia. Yeah. I'm so yeah, sad I haven't told anybody or made the announcement, but I'm not gonna make it to Atlanta. I'm gonna have to be virtual, y'all. But yeah.
Aww.
Yeah.
So it's a pleasure to have you. I will definitely have you again. As we have, you know, new different conversations coming up. And then maybe once we start that collaboration between you, myself, and Mia, we can come back on this platform and possibly discuss some of these things and get some, you know, participation from the audience to see what is needed. Like, are we missing the mark on something?
Yes, I was going to say something. I don't want to say it because I don't want nobody to take my idea. So I'll just email you and tell you what I'm thinking.
Not until it's out there. Look, then we can share once it's out there.
Right. Yeah. No, I'm a message you and tell you, right. But yes, thank you for having me on here. It's always a pleasure. You are doing such amazing things and really impacting, you know, the sickle cell community. And I'm glad that I got to meet you in person and see you for myself and see the type of person that you are. Like, even without you speaking the energy, like I can tell that you're a very genuine person. I felt that when I met you, and I'm glad that I was able to make my own, you know, assertion as to the type of person that you are, and to make you a friend, because I feel like we are friends in sickle cell. And I feel like as mothers, as caregivers, like there's just a different kind of fire that's under us for the things that we do. And it's really, you know, it's personal why we do this. It's really personal. And that's why we want to excel and be the best, you know, in what we do, is because we know that we have somebody that's personally affected and going to benefit from the work that we're doing today, even if we aren't here to see the work when it finally finishes.
Yep. You are right. I appreciate that. That means a lot. I really, really do. As Gina said, you can follow her at Dreamsickle Kids. And then what is it? Dreamsickle Kids Foundation, right? For Facebook.
Yes. And if any the sickle cell, warriors and advocates and things that are out there, if you're going to be on the SCD policy forum with Sickle Cells, SCDA, and the consortium on the 21st and the 22nd, I am going to be talking at a panel. I believe on the 21st. I think registration may be closed, but if you already registered, I shall see you there. They are allowing me to say a couple of words, so that's what I'm going to be doing. And I would have said I see you in Atlanta.
Yes.
Also, if you're at the leadership summit for the Sickle Cell Consortium in Atlanta from the 23rd to the 27th, one of those days I believe I'm going to be speaking as well. So I'll catch you guys on the flip side.
Yes, and I thank everyone for tuning in. You can follow me at YouTube at Scott Center OH, Instagram Scott Center OH, and if you're on Facebook, it's Scott Center for Observation, Treatment, and Transition. And we will be back here next Friday, same time, 6 p.m., 7 p.m. with Tinga. I think that's how you say her name. Is that how you say her last name?
Yes.
From Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking. Okay, I'm looking forward. This will be my first time talking with her, so I'm looking forward.
Yes,
so
that's gonna be
you don't want to miss it. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys soon.
See ya.